Okay, so I know that a lot of people are not going to be able to tune into this right now, but I just wanted to say while I'm sitting here in my nice showered body and my relaxed clothes, that I wanted to give you my take on the Childish Gambino video because I think there's so many elements to that video that it's very easy for each one of us to, at the same exact time of viewing it, see something different. But I want to tell you what I see. And I think I have to let you know that the way that I see it is through conservatives' eyes, a conservative Black woman's eyes. Um, and I think that's very important for us to understand is that each and every one of us are going to see it a different way because it's relative to who you are and where you come from and where you are right now in this place or this timeline of your life. I saw the video as an awakening for the sleeping Black people. And let me qualify that statement. I think that our generations up under me, and I'm part of the baby boomer generation, the 50-year-olds. I think that people under us right now are so asleep. They don't work, they don't do anything. It's like they are all into the best new music, the best new technology, the best new this, the best new that. So many of them are strung out on drugs. Now, mind you, this is not just strung out on drugs in the Black community. I think America as a whole has a drug problem, whether it be opioids, whether it be abusing legal marijuana, because you're going to start seeing a whole lot more situations where a lot of people are abusing legal marijuana in the West. But as it relates to Black people, because he's a Black guy, I saw it as, hey, look, while you're over here shuffling and dancing and getting ready for the next new thing, there are some things you need to correct in your own community. There's some things you need to fix in your own world. Um, there are undeniable things that happened in America that cannot be ignored. Because I am a conservative, I am not a Black basher. Does that make sense? I don't close my eyes to the things that have happened in the world, but I don't live there either. But I don't, at the same time, pretend like none of those things ever existed because they did. I mean, no, I wasn't in slavery, but I do remember being in California, a place where the majority of all of the Jim Crow laws, the most Jim Crow laws in the United States was in California. And I remember being a little girl crossing the street, and I was about 11 or 12 years old, and I was crossing with the green. And I remember this white man out of nowhere just shouted the worst thing on the planet to me. He just said, and I even hate to say it because even now to say it, it just crushed me. He said, get out of the street, you nigger bitch. And I was mortified. So I think that if you have something in your life that you can look back on and you can touch a point in your life where you were treated badly because of your race, or somebody said something because of your race, or they used your race when making a comment. Because to be candid, if he hadn't said that, I think I wouldn't have associated it with race. I wouldn't have. But the fact is that he did. So, number one, is there race baiting going on in the United States? Certainly there is. Are there individuals who would like to see everybody arguing with one another simply because of our color in order for them to slip under the radar, whatever their propaganda is? Certainly there is. But I think as a whole, that the generations that are under me, my grandchildren, my children, what I want to see them do is just wake up to the fact that your enslavement at this point, right this second, is only self induced. That's the truth. It is a self induced enslavement. And here is what I mean by that. You know, you got a right to drive and do certain things and live a certain way, but how many of us are making choices that are wrong choices? And I'm not talking about people who are a victim of some overzealous individual out there that's got a badge on and they go crazy and they start beating up somebody. Because again, those things do happen. What I'm talking about is taking personal responsibility for the things that we do. And that's what I got out of that video. I got that there is some personal responsibility that each and every one of us as Blacks that are in America have to make sure that we are not a statistic. Listen, if it is not exactly, I'm going to say this. When I see or hear about all of the things that are going on right now, I, I shudder. But let me tell you what really disturbs me. What really disturbs me is how our Black girls are taking off their clothes on Instagram, how they're getting butt injections, and how they are not even thinking about what's going to happen tomorrow. It's all about how cute can I be? How snatched can I look? The men are walking around with their pants all sagging. There is a twofold thing that's going on right now. You got people who are literally living their lives in such a way to where they're only going to end up destroying themselves. Look at our community. If you live in a community that's a Black community, you automatically know that a lot of those areas have been dealing with Democrats. Those are the same people you vote in every single time, and yet you don't have a change. And then you get upset because you don't have a change, and you're voting in the same people all the time. If you want change in your community, then put people in office that are different. If you want to change in your life, then live a life that is a different type of life. Don't live a life that is rowdy, that's murderous, that's lascivious, that's angry, that's arguing. We got more issues with Black and Black fighting on videos on Facebook than we do anywhere else. You can look at the countless attacks that you see on video every single day. Right now, if you go to YouTube and you just punch in Black girls fighting, you'll see a litany of fights going on between Black girls and between Black boys. That video to me, when I saw the Childish Gambino video, that video to me hit me really hard. The system is, yes, that's right. But you know, the sad part is that as a conservative, and I am a conservative, and the reason why I'm a conservative is specifically because of this, because I live my life, or I try, by the Bible. I don't believe in abortion for me. If somebody wants to do that to themselves, that's on them. But I am conservative because of the way that I believe. I'm not conservative to the point to where I want to beat up other Black people and tell them how terrible they are because they want to talk about slavery. Listen, we had slaves up until 1961 in the United States of America. And what I don't like is for us to be told to forget about something that is obviously prevalent. It does exist, but it's how we decide we're going to live our lives that make a difference. I know that it's out there, but it's how I choose to live as a responsible human being that makes the difference. I'm not saying that there's not some crazy guy out there who has a badge who may treat me bad. I'm not saying that, because those things do exist. What I'm saying is, before we can point our finger at other people, we need to get down on our own community and say, yo, stop it with the videos of you girls out here fighting in the streets. So we need to start denouncing some of these things that are trashy and garbage that makes the other people in this world and in the United States look at us like we are garbage. Exactly. You know, we are. And that's what I was saying. 1961, there was a whole entire family of people. You know, and the whole sharecropping thing, all of those things were rooted and grounded in the slavery mentality of the slave masters. These things are real. You can't at the same time out of one side of your mouth say, forget about slavery, and then, oh, but let's remember the Holocaust. Really? Seriously? How can you do that? They are all wrong. They're all bad. Every single one of these things. All terrible and all bad. What it boils down to is that now that the playing field is evened out in some way, and it's not really always even, okay? But now that we got a little bit more leverage, it's time for us to teach our kids to do what's right. It's time for us to teach our families how to live their life right. It's time for us to make sure that our children are not being inundated with drugs. If you want to do something on a grassroots level, then you need to go around in your community and you need to say, hey, look, I don't want all these liquor stores in my community. Now, what you going to do about getting them up out of here? I'm not marching, but I'm darn sure not going to give you not another tax dollar until you get them up out of my community. There are things that we can do grassroots that can make a difference. So even though I'm conservative, I'm not a Black basher. I have a problem with people who black bash who are conservatives. You are conservative only because of virtue of the fact that you may believe in the Bible. Therefore, you are conservative. Okay? You are conservative by virtue of what you believe. It's not about what you refuse to see. You cannot walk into a store and people don't see color. That's a lie. When you go into a store, people see color. People see color. They do. They do. I've been a victim of it myself, but I didn't live there. You feel what I'm saying? I didn't stay there. I didn't get stuck there. I just didn't spend my money there. I literally walked into a St. John's boutique in Las Vegas, and I had money in my pocket and could have bought anything I wanted in my pocket. At that time, I could have bought what I wanted. But do you realize that as soon as I walked into the store, the white young lady behind the counter disappeared. She came back, and then a guy in a blue jacket came, and then they approached me and asked me, what did I need? Not, what are you here to purchase, but what are you doing here? And I said, what do you mean? Well, this is St. John's. What do you need? That was racism. So I can't walk around here and pretend like stuff didn't exist. It existed, and it exists now. But what we're not going to do is continuously look at the things that are happening outside of our community and not hold each other accountable for the crap that's going on in our community. We have got young men running around dressing like girls. We have got girls running around dressing like boys. We have got molestation going on in our communities, within our churches. We've got rape going on within our communities, within our churches. That's happening black on black. Okay, we've got people shooting people. We've got people breaking into people's houses. We've got all kinds of stuff. That little stuff right there, those are the things that we need to be dealing with right now. We need to be dealing with those things right there. Okay. So when I look at the Childish Gambino video, I was absolutely flabbergasted because it was as if everything was ennobled in that video. We had so many different points. I don't even think you could, without you going back, looking at it about 3 or 4 times like I did, you're not going to get it all. And you're going to see it from a different perspective. Nobody is going to see it the same exact way because each one of our experiences are different. My generation's experiences are different than somebody else's. But the one thing that we all need to get out of it is the responsibility that we have socially to be the best and most productive people that we can possibly be. We really do. Because let me tell you something, when you are right, if something is done wrong to you, for the most part, you can stand up for yourself and you can do it intelligently. But we cannot at the same time ignore the fact that we've got a bevy of videos out there with black kids fighting black kids, black girls and black boys beating each other up, people in the different communities shooting and killing each other, drug addiction, selling of the drugs. Man, we are really, really regressing. We're not going forward. We're going backwards. We're going backwards. I mean, we had people's bodies swinging from trees who was fighting for our freedom. And now look how we're living. We're living in our own prison, in our own form of slavery. If you look at different amendments, one in particular, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, I think the 13th Amendment, is it the 13th? And somebody out there will remind me of which one it was. But I know that there's an amendment that says that slavery is abolished except for incarceration. That's where a lot of our kids are right now. They're incarcerated because parents aren't raising their children anymore. Husbands and wives are not together anymore. Men are not taking care of their families, regardless to whether or not they're all up under the same roof. We have a welfare mentality. And to top it all off, black women have the audacity to try to be a feminist when that was never created for you. It was never created for a black woman, ever. I could argue that point and give you so many different instances where that wasn't for us, but it wouldn't make a difference because the people who are out there right now who really, truly, and honestly want to believe that it was, I had a phone call come in. I'm sorry. I shouldn't even be trying to do this on the phone, but I was just compelled to do it. So I want to just encourage everybody to be responsible for the things that you do for yourself. Be socially responsible. Be responsible for whatever children you bring on this planet. Be responsible for taking care of yourself and making sure that you're self sufficient legally, making sure that you come in and do the right things. Because I'm going to tell you something, we are destroying ourselves far quicker than anybody else could. We are. And it makes it easier for those people who are out there who are racist, because they do exist. They do exist. Whether you believe it or not, there are racist people on this planet. My most important thing to say is that we need to be responsible. So I appreciate those of you who did click in, and I really did this because I wanted to make sure that it was posted and uploaded. Tuning in.